Hi everyone! If you are planning a trip to Banff, you're going to love it. It is honestly one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. I'm lucky enough to have visited multiple times since I live only about 3 hours away. But I can tell you, planning a trip here is not as easy as it seems. The first time I went, I did not realize how busy it would be or how quickly the weather could change, and I definitely made a few mistakes. So in this video, I'm sharing the tips I wish I knew before my first visit, along with some common mistakes you'll want to avoid. These tips will save you time, stress, and money, and help you have the best trip ever. 1. Not booking early enough. First, make sure you book your hotel, tours, and shuttles well in advance, especially in the summer and fall. The shuttle to Lake Louise or Moraine Lake sells out quickly, and if you don't want to be scrambling at the last minute, make sure you book that in advance. Speaking of Moraine Lake, you can't drive your own car there anymore. People still show up not knowing this and end up getting turned away. And you'll need to take the Parks Canada shuttle, Rome Transit, or join a guided tour to be able to get in Moraine Lake. And don't forget that you also need a Parks Canada pass. Make sure it's displayed properly on your dashboard to avoid getting fined. Number 2, not starting early. Another big one is arriving late to the popular spots like Lake Louise, Moraine Lake, and Jansen Canyon. Parking at these places fill up crazy fast, especially in the peak season. So I suggest going early since you'll not only skipping the parking headaches, but also enjoy the views without the crowds. When we went to Jansen Canyon around mid-morning, the parking lot was already full, so we had to circle around for a while before finally finding a spot. When we went to Lake Louise around 8 a.m. to start our hike, the parking lot was almost full. It was packed with tour buses and cars lining up, so I recommend arriving early there to secure a parking spot. Not only will you avoid the crowds, but you'll also catch the most beautiful lights for photos if you go there early, like very early in the morning. Number 3, wearing the wrong gear and underestimating the weather. If you are only planning a short hike, make sure to wear proper hiking shoes with good grip, dress in layers, and pack a rain jacket. Also, don't assume that the weather will stay the same all day since mountain weather changes fast. A lot of people come unprepared and end up cold, wet, or cutting their hikes short. On our hike in July, we started under clear blue skies, then suddenly we faced strong winds, and by the time we were hiking down, we ended up in the rain. So make sure to bring layers you can easily add or remove, a waterproof rain jacket, and a good hiking shoes with grip. I also like to pack a hat even in summer, just in case it gets chilly at higher altitudes. So yeah, you'll thank yourself for being ready when the weather turns on you. Another big mistake is wearing the wrong gear. I've seen so many people hiking in fashion sneakers and slipping around on rocky trails. We hiked in winter in Jansen Canyon, and there was a lady who slipped on the ice and got nosebleed. So make sure you wear a micro spikes when you are planning to hike in winter. I always check the Parks Canada website for trail and weather conditions before heading out, just in case something's closed due to wildlife or weather. Like when we hiked in June, there was a sign at the Tunnel Mountain saying part of the trail was closed because it was elk calving season. Wildlife closures like that are pretty common in spring and early summer, so it is always a good idea to double check before you go. Number 4, only visiting the famous lakes. Another thing to avoid is just going to the famous lakes and calling it a day. Lake Louise and Moraine Lake are stunning, but Banff has so much more to offer, like Lake Minnewanka, Bow Lake, Jansen Canyon, Lake Agnes, Tunnel Mountain Trail, and more. So if you've got the time, try to explore these other spots. Many visitors just stop at Lake Louise and Moraine Lake and miss out on hikes and other gems. If you are up for a hike, try the Plain of Six Glaciers, Big Beehive, Little Beehive, Tunnel Mountain Trail, or even the Jansen Canyon. You can also check out the Lake Minnewanka, Bow Lake, and the Ink Pots in Jansen Canyon for a quieter but equally incredible views. And when you hike the Big Beehive, you will pass by the Mirror Lake, Lake Agnes Tea House, which is a cozy spot where you can stop for a tea, coffee, or snacks. The tea house is only accessible by hiking, which make it feel extra special. We took a short break there, enjoyed a tuna sandwich and a peanut butter and jelly sandwich that we brought from that tea house, and then we continued our hike to the Big Beehive. Number 5, not being wildlife smart. When it comes to wildlife in Banff, make sure you keep your distance and never feed the animals. We saw a deer casually walking through a parking lot and even spotted a black bear from our car. And it was an incredible experience to see these animals, but also a huge reminder to stay cautious. If you are planning to hike, definitely bring a bear spray and make sure you actually know how to use that. You can buy it at places like Cabela's or local shops in Banff Town, and I've even heard you can rent it if you don't want to buy one. And please don't try to get close to the animals just for a selfie. Not only is it dangerous for you, but it is also harmful to the animals if you do this. Make noise when hiking to avoid surprising them. Try to hike in groups if you can, and always store your food properly if you are camping so you don't attract wildlife to your site. Staying wildlife smart keeps you safe and protects them too. Number 6, skipping the Icefields Parkway Drive. Another mistake is skipping the Icefields Parkway Drive. Some people miss the scenic drive, so make sure you don't miss this one. It is one of the most beautiful drives in Banff area. So there are so many scenic stops like Bow Lake, Pito Lake. Well, you'll definitely want to pull over. Just make sure to fill up on the gas, bring snacks, and download offline maps because there's barely any service out there. Number 7, forgetting snacks and water. Don't forget to bring your own when hiking since some hike can be long. There are no stores on the trails and water refilling stations, so make sure you pack enough water, energy bars, and even a sandwich. On our hike, we had jerky, sandwiches while taking in the amazing views. Number 8, ignoring park rules. Banff is a protected national park, so make sure to stay on trails, take your garbage with you, and leave the nature as you found it. Even small things like picking wildflowers, leaving food scraps can affect the local wildlife. So please, please, please don't ignore the park rules so the park stays beautiful and everyone keep enjoying it. Number 9, visiting only in peak season. Summer is the busiest time in Banff, and while it is stunning, it can feel overcrowded. So if you can, try not to go during peak season. If you have the flexibility to visit in May, early June, or September, you'll still get beautiful scenery and the crowds and prices are much lower. Number 10, not giving extra time. And finally, don't overpack your schedule. It is tempting to fit everything in, but rushing around just makes it stressful. Make sure you plan for delays, weather changes, and give yourself time to enjoy each place. Banff is not a place you can fully experience in just one day. There is so much to see and do in this amazing national park. And Banff gets really busy, especially in the summer, and things like traffic, shuttle lines, and finding parking can take way longer than expected. So make sure you give yourself at least 3 to 7 days to explore Banff. Take scenic drives, enjoy hikes, and soak in the slower mountain pace without feeling rushed so you don't get stressed. So if you are planning a trip to Banff, here are some tips I wish I knew before going. First tip I have is book your accommodation, shuttle, and parks pass in advance. Hotels in Banff fill up months in advance, especially in summer or ski season. When we went in July, everything was already sold out, so we ended up staying in Canmore. It was cheaper than staying in Banff, and it's only about 20 minutes drive from Banff, so it worked out perfectly for us. You will also need to get a Parks Canada pass to enter the park, so I recommend buying it online ahead of time because it can save you time at the gate, especially in the summer when there are long lines of cars. If you are visiting multiple parks in Canada, the Discovery Pass is a great deal since it covers all of them for a year. Parks like Jasper, Elk Island, Yoho National Park, and more. For the big spots like Lake Louise and Moraine Lake, I suggest going early as you can. Now, you can't drive to Moraine Lake with your own car, so you have to use the Parks Canada shuttle, which is honestly really easy to use. So you just need to book it in advance through the Parks Canada website because spots sell out quickly, especially during peak season. The shuttle runs frequently from the Lake Louise Ski Resort parking lot, and your ticket includes access to both Moraine Lake and Lake Louise, so you can visit both on the same day without worrying about parking. Packing for all kinds of weather. Even in summer, I recommend bringing layers since Banff weather is unpredictable. It can be sunny one minute and raining the next. On our hikes to the Plain of Six Glaciers, Big Beehive, and Tunnel Mountain Summit, which was this June of 2025, it was sunny, then it got windy, and by the time we were heading down, it started raining. So I recommend bringing layers and a rain jacket. In this video, I was also wearing my winter jacket since it was cold up there. Be ready before you hit the road. Having a car is the easiest way to see everything at your own pace, especially if you want to explore places like the Icefields Parkway, Yoho National Park, or even nearby Canmore. Just remember that gas stations are limited once you're out on the parkway, so fill up before you go. Also, cell service may not be available along the Icefields Parkway, so it is a good idea to download maps offline or maybe have a GPS device. Bring some snacks and water too because convenience stores are not available along some routes. The drive through the Banff National Park is absolutely stunning, so make sure to allow extra time to stop and take in the views. Visit other places beyond the famous lakes. Of course, Lake Louise and Moraine Lake are breathtaking, but there is so much more to see in Banff National Park if you're willing to go beyond the usual stops. While Banff Town is charming, there is so much more to see in this park. Try to visit Lake Minnewanka where you can take a boat cruise or hike along the shore. Driving along the Icefields Parkway is another thing I suggest for you to visit. The mountains are incredibly visible along this route, and there are countless stops worth exploring like Bow Lake. The Plain of Six Glacier hike was a bit of a workout, but the trail takes you through forests, you pass turquoise lakes, and ends with the jaw-dropping views of glaciers. There's even a little tea house near the top where we stopped to eat our packed snacks. It was a cool experience in the middle of the mountains. The Big Beehive was another hike that we did this year. On the way to this trail, you'll pass the Lake Agnes and the tea house. The tea house is only accessible by hiking, which makes it feel extra special. We took a short break there. We enjoyed a tuna and peanut butter sandwich and then continued our hike to the Big Beehive. The tea house can get busy, so it is best to go early. The hike is steep in sections, but when you reach the top, the view over Lake Louise from above is incredible, and the lake looks like a glowing blue gem. For something easier to hike but still rewarding, I suggest checking out the Tunnel Mountain Summit. It is a short hike and close to Banff Town, but the panoramic view from the top is amazing. These hikes are not as crowded as the big-name lakes, and you get to experience the quieter, wilder side of Banff. We also hiked Jansen Canyon, which is super scenic with waterfalls and narrow catwalks attached to the cliffs. Hiking this feels like you're walking right through the canyon walls. Most people stop at the upper falls like we did, but I've heard that if you keep going to the ink pots, you will find these colorful mineral springs, so definitely check out ink pots if you're up for more hiking. Be wildlife smart and stay safe. Wildlife is everywhere on Banff, so always keep your distance and never try to approach or feed the animals. We saw elk wandering around the parking lot at the train station and even spotted a black bear from our car. I couldn't stop watching these animals.
Hello. You're responsible.
Oh, that's
Hello. Naghahanap siya ng
It was amazing to witness these, but also a good reminder for us to stay cautious. Bears in particular can be unpredictable, so make sure you carry a bear spray if you are hiking. Make noise on the trails to avoid surprising them, and Always hike in pairs or groups if possible. Also, keep your food stored properly when camping, as leaving it out can attract wildlife. So following these park rules not only keep you safe but also protects the animals. Stay hydrated and bring some snacks. Many hikes in Banff are longer than expected and there are only a few facilities along the way. So make sure to carry plenty of water, snacks, and maybe even a packed lunch if you are heading to longer trails like the Plain of Six Glaciers or the Ink Pots. There are no shops or restaurants once you're on the trail, and there are no refilling stations, so make sure you have enough water with you and food. On our hikes, we always pack energy bars, sandwiches, electrolytes, and nuts, which give us a boost during our breaks. Also, don't forget to pack out all your garbage to help keep the trails clean. Oh, and one more thing, if you can visit early or late in the season like May, early June, or September, these months are less busy, accommodations are a bit easier to find, and you still get amazing scenery. Alright, these are all the things I wish I knew before my first trip to Banff, and I hope this video helps you avoid those common mistakes so you can make the most out of your visit. If you found these helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and drop any questions you have in the comments. Thank you so much for watching!